What is up, guys? Weasley here. Today, I have this really cool project file that I made after I was kind of playing with some color-based future rhythm, whatever you want to call it. It's like melodic dubstep, right? Some guy in the comment who's really nice kind of recommended the idea, and I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So there is a download available on my Gumroad. You can find that link in the description below. But this is going to be a short video. I just want to show how I use my certain tools that you can find on my Gumroad, and how I use them in this project file. But first, let's just take a listen to the project. Alright guys, so this is going to be a quick video. I'm just going to go over quickly the kind of tools that I use, the ones that are on my Gumroad, how I used them in this project. You can find them if you download this on the Gumroad in racks. There's a lot of racks in here, all my favorite racks, including Multi-Clip 1, Melodic Res Rack, Better Knob, Spice Rack, Weasley Spacer. I guess I can just kind of go down the list. So Multi-Clip, I did use on the master, actually. First time I've actually used it on the master, and boy, do I like it. Yeah, I just kind of cranked that one up. I turned off the OTT because you don't want OTT on the master. I don't know who told me that, but just don't do it. It messes up the low one, I guess. The other rack that I used very frequently was the Spice Rack. So let's kind of go in there and how I did the Spice Rack actually on these entire lead group here. If I actually open up the automation lane, it's about to get wild. You can see all the different automations, reverb, we go bit crush, flutter, we got stutter, stutter, space delay, even 3D. Right, so you can see I automated all these little parameters on Spice Rack, which I like to do with the Spice Rack. Just kind of gives a nice transition to the sounds in between parts, so let's check that out. I also threw a Melodic Res Rack on here as well, and as you could tell, I did some little detonal tonal shifts. Let's see. I also, on the drop, there was a lot of melodic res racks, obviously, because it's color based, that I wanted to use on the sound design. So this sound right here, this has been resampled like a million times by using the melodic res rack and some multi-clip. It started off as like a little gun rack melodic pattern thing. Right, so that's a really cool way that you can use gun rack as well. Drop in some sample and then find a cool pattern for that, right? And I threw melodic res rack. Without it, there is still some flavor because this was like resampled down a little bit more. And I messed with this little ring shift. Right, the other rack that is also available on my Gumroad, Weasley Spacer, I used in this track as well. Basically, I wanted this to be the lead sound, so all my basses right here. I wanted these all to make sure that they're giving this lead here its room to shine, right? So I put the Weasley Spacer on all these guys that I felt like could have been getting in the way, right? And routed it by just selecting the input lead, which is this lead, and then playing with some of these parameters to get this kind of sidechain EQ dynamic response to this lead here, right? So every time this guy goes off, this one responds. Right? So that's how I gave space to this lead instrument. For these leads, I basically just kind of chopped up parts in my, intro melody and kind of just created the fills with that little pre-hit. So a really cool technique for this kind of color-based stuff is to first, you got to tone change all your little basses and sounds to give them that melodic flavor. You can do that with Melodic Res Rack. I also know Nasco has a really good snap heap rack for that as well. If you want to check out him, I'm just using Ableton devices in this project file. Everything is Ableton, by the way, so there isn't one third-party VST except for Serum, obviously, and then there is a kickstart on the entire sidechain, but you don't need it because, like in my other videos, I created a multi-band sidechain as well in here, so that is of no need. But yeah, essentially what you can do with this melodic dubstep stuff is you just take your intro melodic leads and you kind of bring little bits and pieces of them right into your track by just kind of chopping up the little fills. And I'll tell you this little end here, see how they're on the end phrases of these little blocks here? They are the same end phrases on these little blocks here. So I'm not changing really the order of some of these patterns. So this giant like that thing also happens on the ends of this phrase, right? Better knob I used on the entire group here just to kind of give it some parallel compression, a little bit of drive, a little bit of OTT. I did some automation on this little break part, which is this is my favorite part right here. So that part I kind of just automated it a little bit louder so it can shine. Right, I did a little reverb throw as well. Reverb throws are my favorite. For the subs, I also just kind of hard cut all the lows out of my big synth group, and I like to keep the subs by themselves, processing it just kind of right through the main bus, but skipping this giant synth bus. The easy way to get like really good subs, in a sense, and clean subs is just to generate kind of like a MIDI for whatever the keynote it is, right? If that guy will work. And you can write out the patterns. Like over here, I just kind of had the sub patterns, but for a lot of these things that don't have MIDI, sometimes I get lazy. And I don't want to write out all the MIDI. So what I'll do, and same thing like with this, right? So this was the sub for this big Reese guy that I have saved, right? So I did one melodic res rack layer and then one regular layer, right? But then I wanted to get the pure sub of it right here. Right, and you can do that by loading a caress, which would be saved in this project file. So just feel free to save this little Max for Live device here, and you just make like a simple sub, right? And you throw this guy on. What he's going to do is he's going to match the pattern of this, right? So then when I resample this, let's just do freeze. And when I flatten it, I'm going to get a very similar pattern to this because it's basically just following the envelope, right? It's like an envelope follower. It's just following the shape and sound, and it's going to create the same kind of pattern, right? So we get similar things there to go. So that's how I kind of create my subs. I just like to get clean subs and like to have it on a separate channel. And now my computer is frozen and the project's going to die. Like I said, a lot of this dubstep stuff here, this melodic flavor, you're going to just want to make these basses, or at least there's multiple ways to do this, right? But the way I did it here, I got like a normal bass, right? And then I just melodic res the fuck out of it, right? Then layered them both. Same with these little hits right here. Melodic res. Right, turn that up a little bit. This guy. Where's this guy? Oh, this guy was like resampled like 5 times. Right, so now you get that nice little cool flavor. but yeah, I mean, essentially, that's kind of all I did. I just kind of made a nice dubstep drop, and then I just started adding melodic res to a lot of the sounds, and took melodic elements from my intro melody lead, right, as little end phrases. Combine that all, and you get this melodic color base. Also, too, one thing to notion is that you can throw melodic res on these sweeps. I think I did it in one of these. No, but you can. You could just throw, where is my melodic res? I'll just grab this guy. And you can give kind of like some melodic flavor to your atonal sweeps, the ones that are like just white noise, right? To give them like a nice like kind of reverse vocal effect or reverse synth effects. Just go E minor because that's the key I chose. All right, boom. But yeah, hope you guys have fun with that. Link is in the description. Thanks for everyone who watches, and please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot. Peace.